Hey everybody, I'm so glad to have the opportunity to share the word of the Lord with you. This is absolutely one of my all-time most favorite messages, and I really want you to really sink your teeth into this word. The message is called a love letter. It is powerful, it is life-changing, and you need to hear it in its entirety. Take a listen at the love letter. Philemon was a son of Paul, said we don't hear a whole lot about, but Paul thought enough in his old age to write to Philemon. But he doesn't write to Philemon about Philemon. He writes to Philemon about another son, a new son that has been begotten in his old age. The new son's name is Onesimus. The irony is that Philemon is a slave owner, and Onesimus is a runaway slave. Philemon has no real doctrinal value. It does not set up the order of the church. It doesn't deal with deacons or elders. It doesn't deal with immoralities and things like that. It doesn't deal with things that have been profitable to preach. It's just a simple, quick letter written by the shaky hand, the trembling hand of an old man who resists arthritis long enough to pen a few words because he thought it was important to stand in a position and officiate for this runaway slave. The Bible is unclear as to how a guy like Onesimus would run into Paul, seeing that Paul is a prisoner. Now look, I want to set this up for a minute. You got a prisoner who is incarcerated outwardly, but free inwardly, writing to a slave owner, trying to get the slave owner to receive a runaway slave. Each man is in some way incarcerated, and each man is in some way liberated. Paul is bound on the outside, but he's free on the inside. And he's writing to Philemon to say, Onesimus, by all rights, is your slave. You paid the price for him. He didn't treat you good. He didn't serve out his time. He ran away. But I want you to receive him back because he ran away from you, but ran into me. And in the process of him running into me, I converted him. And Onesimus, who was your slave, is now my son. Now, Philemon, this puts you in a dilemma because if Onesimus is my son, then he is your brother. And if he is your brother, he can't be your slave. Hallelujah. Touch somebody and say, Onesimus is a runaway slave. Yeah, you know what it is to be a runaway slave. You're running away from something and can't deal with it anymore. And you might not admit it, but all of us in here have been a runaway. Oh, no, don't get ethnic on me. You don't have to be black to be a runaway slave. Anytime you're running away from how you have been defined, anytime you're running away from how folks saw you, anytime you're running away from the limited perspective people had on your life, anytime you refuse to be bound and you got to get away from a trap, you've been a runaway slave, been on a run. Some of y'all running right now. Running from the limited way people view you, running from your past, running from your background, running from who you used to be, running from what people think about you. Some of you are on the run right now. Onesimus was a runaway slave. He ran up on Paul and got liberated. Now he is liberated on the inside, but he's still on the run on the outside. And if you're a runaway slave, you lived in danger of being destroyed. Paul, who can't get out of prison, is writing a letter so that somebody who is out can be free. Some theologians suggest that the book of Philemon is only included in the canonical scriptures because the book of Philemon became a work that Onesimus includes, because Onesimus becomes a penman for the Apostle Paul and becomes useful. Others suggest that it goes even deeper than that Philemon becomes an apostle and does a great work, and Onesimus ends up pastoring Timothy's old church and becomes the bishop over the church at Ephesus. And he started out a slave. I want you to understand this morning that it doesn't matter where you start. In the ending, I want to send you this little love letter. You didn't start so well, baby, but you're going to end good. You had a rough and rocky start, but you're going to have a long and happy ending. Head up, stop running and stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Stop running so you can in the kingdom. Onesimus, God has a plan for your life. Onesimus, love is an arbitrator. It's a peacemaker. It stands in the hedge. It makes up the gap. And then second thing I want to tell you about love, love is a transformer. It will allow you to change. Love will allow you to grow. Love will love you as a servant, but still embrace you as a son. You will remember when the children of Israel were coming out of Egypt, they left Egypt like runaway slaves, running from a Pharaoh that was in hot pursuit of them, ready to destroy them. They came down to the Red Sea and heard their master chasing them and began to murmur and complain against Moses. How dare you bring me out here to die in the wilderness, because slaves on the run live in fear. And they thought the master was going to overtake them, but the master of masters waved his power and opened up the Red Sea, and the slaves went across on dry ground. They stepped into the Red Sea bed as slaves. But by the time they walked through the Red Sea and came up on the other side, they came up as sons. No. This is what Paul would later call the baptism between the cloud and the sea. Baptism is when you go down one way and you come up another way. I don't know who's been baptized in here, but it'll take you down a slave and bring you up a son. And then you know who you really got if they can receive the new you. Yeah, love is a transformer. If you really love me, you won't just love the old me. You're going to love the new me. There's some people in here right now that are going through transformation. Look at your neighbor and say, how you like me now? Yeah, how you like me now? That's going to determine how we make it over the next few years, is how you like me now. If you only like me as long as I'm saying, yes, sir, master, we're going to have some problems up in here. But if you can receive me as I am now, then I am profitable unto you.
Still to come on The Potter's Touch.
The Bible said that when Jesus was on the cross, see, I didn't know he was a love letter because I was looking at the envelope. I couldn't read the letter for the envelope. But when they pierced him in his side, they opened up the letter that started the New Testament, that liberated my life, that set me free, To God be the glory!
These statistics are alarming, but yet a real glimpse into the lives and hearts of many leaders. You're not alone. It's time for creative leaders to emerge and recharge. We want to connect you with like-minded leaders and give you the tools to maximize the potential of your organization. Register today for the International Pastors and Leadership Conference, April 21st through the 23rd, 2016 at pastorsandleaders.org.
The third point I want to give you is that love is an abolitionist. Paul writes this love letter to be an abolitionist. An abolitionist is one who fights for the freedom of slaves. He writes a love letter, an emancipation proclamation for Onesimus. And he says, perhaps he left you, this is my favorite line, perhaps he left you for a season that he might be with you forever. Sometimes you have to leave so you can come back better. Oh, I wish somebody understood the depth of what I just said to you. Yeah, I had to come away from you because when we were together, it was toxic. It wasn't working. I had to get away and get myself together. Now I can help you because I'm operating from a position of strength. Oh, God. Ooh, I'm going to mess with you today. Yeah. See, the real challenge is to transform your understanding. Pharaoh couldn't do it. That's why God drowned him in the Red Sea. Because Pharaoh could only see the Hebrews as slaves. And because he wouldn't see them as sons, God used the same water that liberated the slaves to drown the slave master. It wasn't the slavery that was the problem. It was his inability to flow into a new idiom of thought. It's not what we did yesterday that's messing us up. It's that you won't grow with me. And if you won't grow with me, you can't go with me. Y'all don't hear me talking to you. But I'm going to say it again. If you can't grow with me, you can't go with me. And you're going to drown trying to follow me into my destiny if you don't see who I am now. But I told you the only thing standing between Onesimus and death was a love letter written in the shaky penmanship of an old man laying on a cold floor in a grotto, in a cave, saying, take my word for it, Onesimus is in the family. And if you can grow with him, you can go with him. He said, the boy is so good, I started to keep him myself. He said, but when I thought about you, I thought I would give you the first chance to embrace the new and improved Onesimus. He said, and if you're going to hold charges against him through something he did in his past, he said, he can't pay you, but I can. And if he owe you anything at all, charge it to my account. Now, when I read charge it to my account, all of a sudden I understood why Philemon included it in the Bible. Because here Paul is a shadow of Jesus Christ. He said, you know, Jakes is a runaway slave. And he messed up some stuff that he doesn't have the power to make right. But if he owe you, anything, charge it to my account. So since I started to investigate, I said, this sounds so much like Jesus. I said, and there's some synergy between this runaway slave and this abolitionist who wrote a letter to liberate the captivated soul of Onesimus. And I said, where have I seen this before? Well, John jumped in and said, move, Philemon. Said, in the beginning was the Word. And the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And he ran on down and said, and the Word was made flesh. I said, the Word was made flesh. The letter was made flesh. The letter was made flesh. This is Jesus. Wait a minute. Now I understand who Jesus is. Jesus is God's love letter. That when the Adamic fallen nature of man was running away from a mess that he couldn't fix, God wrote a love letter. It took him 42 generations to write it. It took us 33 years to read it. And then I started thanking God for the Roman soldier who had an envelope opener. The Bible said that when Jesus was on the cross, see, I didn't know he was a love letter because I was looking at the envelope. I couldn't read the letter for the envelope. But when they pierced him in his side, they opened up the letter that started the New Testament, that liberated my life, that set me free. To God be the glory. The only thing standing between me and death was a love letter. They hung him high. They stretched him wide. He hung his head. For me, he died. That's love. That's love. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. The Roman soldier opened up the letter, and love came pouring out. The love liberated you from addictions, from bondages, from fear, from low self-esteem. The letter says you are useful, even though you have been abused. The letter says you are not a slave, but a son. The letter pleads to people who hold you hostage to who you used to be. It pleads for the possibility of change, the gift of transformation. Let me grow. Don't hold me down to how you met me. The love letter says, give me permission to evolve. Set me free from regulating me to an old debt between us. I am free through a love letter he wrote on my behalf to people I didn't have a voice with. He had a voice with. He says, I'm going to write a letter that not only expresses the fact that you have my favor, but I'm going to make your enemies be at peace with you. He said, when a man's ways please the Lord, he will make his enemies be at peace with him. So today, when drugs hold you captive, God says, I'm going to write a letter and tell them, let my people go. When weakness holds you captive, with the strike of a pen, God said, let him go. Let that girl go. Let that young boy go. He is useful to me if you can see him as a son and not a slave. This letter made it to the Bible. This simple handwritten love letter says, I want this in here so that the runaways can stop running. Stop running. I've got to stop there. It's been a real joy to share the word of the Lord with you, particularly that message. Very passionate about that message. I believe that it will strengthen you and help you to better understand the liberating love of Jesus Christ, who can snatch a slave away from his slavery and set him completely free. Onesimus, we have all been you at one time or another. May God bless you. May heaven smile upon you until we can meet again. Before I close, wait, hold it. Our pastors and leaders are always feeding us, often with no place to feed themselves. Some of them have burned out. They don't know they burned out. They've lost creativity. Some of you have appointed people in positions over the choir, over the deacons, over the elders. They started out, they were really good. They're burned out. They've run out of creativity. Anytime you're giving out more than you're taking in, you're going to run out. Whether you're a car or a person or a president of a company or it doesn't matter. Everything out, nothing in leaves you bankrupt. Come to the Pastors and Leadership Conference and let us fill your tank with creative thoughts and ideas and concepts that you can go back and work in your city and in your community and turn that entire situation around. I know they said that nothing can be done in your city, but the devil is a lie. Go to pastorsandleaders.org and find out how you can register for this year's International Pastors and Leadership Conference, April 21st through the 23rd. Invest in yourself. I'll see you there. If he commands me to do it, it must be within my power to accomplish it. Because it wouldn't be just to command me to do something that I cannot do. So that means that love is controllable. I give up everything to follow you. Wouldn't give up a ham sandwich at 11 o'clock at night. Imagine how your personal relationships would change if you loved the people in your life like you loved yourself. The reality is we always want to get more than we're willing to give. So this second scripture obliterates selfishness. It's not what we did yesterday that's messing us up. It's that you won't grow with me. If you can't grow with me, you can't go with me. And you're going to drown trying to follow me into my destiny if you don't see who I am now.
For your gift of any size, you will receive the Love Letter series on 4 DVDs. And when your gift is $150 or more, you'll receive the Love Letter 4-message DVD set, the Love Letter stationery set, the NIV Live Experience Bible resource that includes the complete NIV Bible on 79 CDs, digital downloads of the audio, the NIV Live mobile app, and much more. Receive God's love letter to you today.
This callous that you have put over your heart, that you did to protect yourself from the pain of being you, has incarcerated you. Your strength is in the vulnerability of your own passion. And if you stop running from the fear of being hurt, you would find the power of living forward.